My sister and I were reborn on the eve of the horror game. This time, she rushed into the arms of the white-haired boy first. Playing games alone is too scary. Brother, protect me. Everyone was puzzled, because the white-haired boy was slender and looked like a weak fighter, but I saw things clearly. She had also been reborn and knew that the white-haired boy was the final boss of the Blood Castle. In my previous life, I cleared the game with ease. All because the big boss had my back. But my sister didn't know. The boss protected me on a whim. What he truly loved was luring female players into falling for him, only to devour them whole. As for that humble peach with sword she lived down on, once maxed out, it could slay anyone in its path. Gods or mortals alike, welcome to the S-level dungeon, Crimson Castle. Survive in this instance for 1 week to clear it, before officially entering the game. You may freely choose items from the room. Remember, you can only take one. Initial players, 10, remaining, 10. The selection passage will disappear within 10 minutes, wishing all players an enjoyable game. A blood-red moon rose in the sky outside the castle, and the system's playful prompt sounded in my ears. The long table was filled with a dazzling array of cold weapons to choose from, but there were only 9 in total, while there were 10 players. This meant that one person would have to face the supernatural beings empty-handed. The NPC named Farid, who looked like a white-haired youth, stood stiffly by the table, waiting to explain the use of each weapon to us. Suqian couldn't wait to throw herself into his arms, her tone shy. Since the system says only one item can be taken, I guess picking a person is fine too. Playing games alone is too scary. Brother, protect me. Felid's ears turned crimson, and he reluctantly agreed, with pleasure. Beautiful lady. His pale skin gained a healthy flush, and combined with his strikingly handsome, androgynous face, it dazzled the female players present. Suqian gave me a triumphant smile. I instantly realized that Suqian, like me, had been reborn. In my previous life, I didn't manage to grab a suitable weapon, so I lived in constant fear during every round of the game. It was only by staying clear-headed under Farid's sweet talk and mind control that I barely managed to clear the game. Suqian only saw Farid's favoritism toward me, but she didn't notice. When he said those touching words of love, he was staring at my head, practically drooling. Great, no need to envy anymore. That peach with sword she didn't want is mine now. The instance has officially begun. Please, players, take your positions. Mission: evade the pursuit of the Overseer and search for the hidden treasure scattered throughout the manor. Friendly reminder: blood-sucking bats guard the vicinity of the treasures. The Overseer, alerted by ultrasonic calls, will arrive within 2 minutes. With a ding-dong prompt, the player is teleported to the manor. The blood corpses swarm out, sniffing the scent as they slowly approach the player. Blood corpses, which are at least elite monsters in regular dungeons, are mere minions here, indicating the difficulty of the dungeon. The air is filled with the smell of rotting flesh, as the blood corpses drag their long tongues on the ground, emitting mournful wails from their throats. As the distance grew closer, the timid bespectacled man screamed in terror. In the next second, the blood corpse suddenly turned around and swarmed over him, devouring him completely. Heart-wrenching screams echoed through the sky. The players watched as the bespectacled men cried out for help, their faces showing expressions of pity, yet not a single person dared to step forward to rescue him. Beads of cold sweat dripped down, and the atmosphere was as silent as death. Veteran players immediately noticed that the blood corpse had its eyes gouged out, so it could only track people by sound and scent. I made a gesture for silence and tiptoed away. Following the memories from my past life, I planned to retrieve the hidden treasure near the floor-to-ceiling window. Before I could move more than a few steps, Suqian knocked me to the ground, letting out a soft whimper. Oh dear, rushing into Farid's arms. So scary. Brother, protect me. She bumped into me with such force that I ended up in close contact with the ground. Bang! The moment I was knocked to the ground, my heart nearly stopped on the spot. A massive horde of corpses turned their gaze toward me in unison, opening their bloody maws as they lunged forward. A critical moment, I suddenly sprang up and chopped off the head of the blood corpse. Seeing that I was fine, Suqian's disappointment was evident, her face turning green with anger. Felid watched me with great interest, his earlier shy expression fading away, like a beautiful venomous snake closely eyeing its prey. The other players seized the opportunity, quietly dispersing to search for the secret treasure. After dealing with a certain number of blood corpses, the peachwood sword reached level 2, gaining a certain deterrent effect, and the number of actively attacking blood corpses decreased. I struggled to kill the last one around me and climbed up a tree to rest briefly, before I could catch my breath. A vampire bat lurking in the tree bit my arm and began sucking fiercely. I winced in pain, frowning as I crushed the blood-sucking bat. Suddenly remembering something, after some fumbling around, I indeed found the hidden treasure on the tree branch. A dark shadow in the distance was approaching me. It was the Overseer. I jumped down from the tree and ran frantically in the opposite direction. During this period, I encountered countless eerie beings, most of which were on par with the blood corpse in strength. When there were few, I would confront them head-on, treating it as a way to accumulate experience for the Peachwood sword. When there were many, I would either hide or simply run away. By the time I reached the exit, I was utterly exhausted, my throat burning as if on fire. Su Qian, dressed in bright clothes and full of energy, stood in stark contrast to me. She flirted with Efrad, laughing so hard that her whole body shook. Seeing me return alive, she was quite disappointed, but she quickly composed herself and, with the air of a victor, boasted to me, "Sister really is unlucky. Under Efrad's guidance, we found the secret treasure without any effort. Isn't it tough fighting zombies desperately? If you kneel down and beg me now, I might still remember our old friendship and ask my dear to help you out." So quickly it went from brother to dear. Shows how fast their relationship has progressed. Mentioning Farid. The players' faces faintly showed gratitude, pitying him as a pitiful and strange being with a tragic background. The brief interaction led to a qualitative leap in the players' attitude toward Farid. I glanced at the weapons of the people present. Indeed, their appearances hadn't changed at all. Still stuck at level 1, I hefted the third-grade Peachwood sword and, without a word, slapped Su Qian across the face. My hand strength was already considerable, coupled with the weapon's stab bonuses. That slap knocked out several of Su Qian's teeth, drawing blood. Su Qian winced in pain. "What's wrong with you?" I wiped the blood from my hand. "I'll hit you whenever I want. Do I need to pick a time, you damn green tea bitch? That's payback for bumping into me just now. If you think that's not enough, I'll be kind enough to help you swell your left cheek too." Su Qian was exposed, her face alternating between green and red. "How dare you hit me? Do you know who my dear is?" I smirked playfully. "Oh, what identity?" Su Qian gritted her teeth, about to say something, when a heavy, oppressive aura emanated from behind her, coming from Farid. The players who had been watching the show all pricked up their ears, curiously sizing up Farid. Eagerly pressing for answers. Qian, does Farid have some hidden identity? Yeah. I thought it was strange just now. The ghosts didn't dare to get close to him. Could it be? What identity? What does it have to do with you? Su Qian panicked. Even with 10 times the courage, she wouldn't dare to reveal Farid's identity. She glared at me fiercely. "I'm definitely going to teach you a lesson today." I gripped the Peachwood sword tightly, ready for battle, rubbing my hands together. I was about to fight to the death. Farid stepped in, producing a plate of bat-shaped cookies from who knows where. "Baby, stop hitting. I'll feel heartbroken if you get hurt. These cookies were specially made by my strange friends. Your wounds will heal immediately after eating them." Su Qian wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth, coquettishly rolled into Farid's arms, and shot me a disdainful glance. "My dear knows how to care for me. No wonder my sister is going crazy. Such a jealous woman. TSK, these cookies smell so good." Munch. Farid watched Su Qian eat them all up, a sly smile on his face. "Everyone, come and have a taste. Don't be shy." A faint buttery aroma filled the air, making everyone's mouths water. The eyes of everyone present lit up, as after a long day of hard work, their stomachs were already growling with hunger. But none of them were fools. How could they so easily accept food from something so eerie? Seeing that no one was eating, Farid looked deeply hurt, his melancholy expression evoking pity. "I never imagined everyone would distrust me so much. The next level is fraught with danger. These cookies are specially made from eerie food and can confuse the sense of humans in the eerie. I'm just trying to help." Upon hearing that it could confuse sense, everyone swallowed hard. Most eerie beings rely on scent to distinguish outsiders. If we can deceive their sense of smell, our chances of survival will greatly increase. Such a rare treasure, which could fetch an astronomical price in the system store, is now being given away for free. They swarmed in and snatched all the cookies. They almost licked the plate clean. "Farid, from now on, you're my best brother. I love you so much. Woo-woo. True kindness still exists in this world, and good-hearted ghosts like you are rare. Can you introduce the strange brothers to me? I just turned 18. Su Qian's face was completely healed, and she proudly wrapped her arms around Efrad's neck, as if she had won a battle. However, Efrad unusually pushed her away and walked straight up to me, holding a cookie that was at least twice as big as anyone else's. "You hit so hard just now, your hand must be injured." I gazed into his crimson eyes, took the biscuit, and crushed it to pieces. "Thank you, but I never accept handouts." The system tallied the number of people, and only 2 died in the first round. This was truly rare in an S-level instance, giving many players a glimmer of hope. Round 2 of the game begins. Are you ready? Mission: spend the night at the Crimson Homestay and find the living person hidden within. Friendly reminder: the host has the right to eliminate impolite guests. Players who fail to guess correctly by the end of the game will become part of the homestay. The players began to relax. Finding a living person in the midst of the eerie atmosphere, how hard could that be? When the owners of the 4 ghost houses stood in an orderly manner at the entrance, the players soon realized that it really wasn't that simple. The first homestay is an ancient house adorned with a double happiness character. The owner is a woman with bound feet, dressed in wedding attire, her face completely concealed by a red bridal veil, with only a pair of bluish-purple hands visible. The second homestay is a slaughterhouse reeking of a foul, bloody odor. The owner is a butcher wielding a cleaver. Upon closer inspection, one can notice that his head has been stitched together with fine threads, and his fingers have an extra joint compared to others. The third homestay is a modern building scorched by a fire. The owners are a pair of twin sisters, each wearing a small Western-style dress, one in red and the other in white. The girl in the white dress holds a doll crafted to resemble the girl in the red dress. The fourth homestay is a dilapidated thatched cottage. The owner is a pregnant woman shackled with ankle chains, carefully protecting her belly while nervously glancing around, with blood flowing uncontrollably from her lower body. All the homestay hosts appear no different from the usual eerie beings. The system is playing word games. In reality, the real living humans are hidden inside the pregnant women's bellies. The eerie beings have no reproductive functions and cannot possibly become pregnant. It is the living humans struggling desperately inside the bellies, tearing through the intestines, that cause the incessant bleeding. For the first 3 nights, the players passed through safely, and finally, the day came to enter the pregnant woman's homestay. The players gathered together to discuss their strategy. When they heard my suggestion to work together to cut open the eerie belly and save the undigested living person, Su-Qian looked horrified. The eerie creature was once human too. Doing this is just too cruel. Su-Shishue, how cruel your heart is. I nodded thoughtfully. We only lost 8 fresh lives, but the monster had to pay the tragic price of a temporarily injured belly. This is truly too cruel. Perhaps it was because my nod looked too sincere. Su-Qian thought I was convinced by her viewpoint and proposed to coexist peacefully with the supernatural, claiming she had her own way to safely spend the night. As she spoke, her gaze fell gently on Fei Lade, with a clear sense of seeking credit. Fei Lade nodded in satisfaction, but the look he gave Su-Qian was as if he were looking at a dead thing. That evening, Su-Qian took matters into her own hands, slipping naked under the quilt and calling the pregnant ghost mom. She babbled and reached out for a hug, trying to awaken the ghost's maternal instincts. Upon hearing someone call her mom, the pregnant ghost's heart melted, and the iron chains on her feet clanked loudly. She called her darling repeatedly but stopped half a meter away. My heart skipped a beat as I suddenly remembered that Su-Qian had smoked a cigarette before entering the homestay. How could a baby, soft and milky, compare to an adult reeking of smoke? Just as I was about to speak up, the pregnant woman eerily picked up a rattle drum from the floor, gently shaking it while singing a nursery rhyme into Su-Qian's ear. The song was melodious and moving, as if she had practiced it alone countless times, carrying a faint trace of melancholy. Is this done? Could it be that Efrad's biscuits can really mask the scent? Just as I was feeling puzzled, Su-Qian wore an expression that said, "See, I told you. I smell a conspiracy brewing," and was just about to sneak up from behind the eerie presence. Hundreds of eyes opened on the pregnant woman's back, staring directly at the peachwood sword in my hand. I was hit by a mental attack, frozen in place and unable to move. Dozens of tentacles emerged from under the pregnant woman's skirt, lifting one of my feet and hanging me upside down in the air. I saw the family portrait hidden in the chandelier, where the pregnant woman was proudly showing her son's penis to the camera. How could there be a mother in the world who can't even tell the gender of her own child? She was indeed acting from the very beginning. I thrust the peachwood sword into the flesh, and the pain significantly weakened the mental corruption. I severed the tentacles wrapped around me, and the peachwood sword's level reached 4. A peachwood sword of level 4 possesses the debuff of dispelling inner demons. I swung at the pregnant woman's back, but she cunningly dodged it. Blades and swords have no eyes. Heading straight for Su-Qian's forehead, I slowly withdrew my strength, intentionally piercing a bit of skin and flesh. Su-Qian's eyes suddenly cleared, and she belatedly let out a scream. Su-Shishue, are you blind? Wait, where did all these skulls come from? This is no thatched cottage at all. Clearly, it is a mountain formed from the bones of fallen players. From the moment we stepped into the guest house, we entered the eerie barrier that had been set up. The players were locked in a fierce battle, and as time passed second by second, their stamina gradually drained away. Su-Qian, who had been escorted and protected by Fei Lade all the way, had neglected her training and soon fell behind. As time ticked away, the pregnant woman's stomach let out a massive intestinal rumble. If the battle wasn't over within 5 minutes, The living person would be completely digested, even if we gave the correct answer. If we couldn't cut open her stomach, the living person would still turn into a corpse. If we didn't meet the system's standards, we would soon become the next meal for the supernatural beings, forever trapped in the guest house. The accompanying companion accused Su Qian of not participating in the battle, and she smiled slightly. What's there to fear? Isn't my dear one still here? Everyone felt as if they had found a treasure, quickly forming a group to beg Su Qian for mercy, hoping she could communicate with Farid and have a good talk with this out-of-control pregnant woman. Letting the players off the hook, she hid behind the main force, affectionately linking arms with Farid. Farid scanned the surroundings, his cold gaze pressing down on everyone until they could hardly breathe. The players present all swallowed nervously, with his guard at its peak. Felid smiled with an inscrutable meaning. Not far away, a pregnant woman caught sight of Felid and let out a delighted scream. She prostrated herself on the ground, sincerely bowing in submission. Lord Felid, my supreme king, so you are here. I beg you to tear these humans to pieces. The players, after a long battle, were already exhausted. Upon hearing this terrible news, they looked at Farid with deep fear in their eyes. This strange being calls Farid, King, Qian. What on earth is going on? In an instant, a pair of enormous bat wings sprouted from Farid's back, his ocean blue eyes turning blood red. An immense fear, like an unbreakable dark cloud, descended upon the hearts of everyone present, except Su Qian. He slowly walked toward the pregnant woman, his expression solemn. The once composed look on Su Qian's face now showed a crack. The pregnant woman sneered, "Our king. How could he ever be willing to stay with you insignificant human ants? It's simply preposterous." But then, something utterly unexpected happened. Farid extended his palm, and a crimson spider lily bloomed above the pregnant woman's head. In an instant, she turned into a pile of minced flesh, along with her belly, which also turned into minced flesh. System, due to force majeure, the living people in the homestay have been absorbed by the boss. The crimson homestay instance is collapsing. Congratulations, players, for discovering the hidden task. Escape the ancient castle boss, Farid. Within 3 days, the ground beneath our feet shook violently, and huge cracks appeared in the floor of the homestay. We fell from a great height, feeling dizzy and disoriented. The players were immobilized by the overwhelming pressure, forced to kneel on the ground like ants. Felid squinted, sitting on the throne at the center of the ancient castle. Little Shishua, you're still as hard to win over as you were in your previous life. Felid's gaze was deep and distant, his voice tinged with a strange excitement, his crimson eyes flickered with a dark light, his invasive gaze sweeping over my entire body before settling on my peachwood sword. Is the new equipment working well? Are you used to it without me protecting you? My heart sank. Does he know I've been reborn, based on my understanding from my past life? He despises acts of showing weakness, rather than sticking to the same old routine. He prefers it when others surprise him and bring him a sense of freshness. Want to try out my new gear? The moment the eerie creature just now turned into minced meat, a few drops of blood splattered onto the peachwood sword. Just this small amount of blood actually allowed the peachwood sword to level up once more, reaching level 5. At the same time, a new function was unlocked, Devour. However, it is clear that the peachwood sword, which has not yet reached its maximum level, can only handle ordinary vampires, but against an ancient anomaly like Farid, it can do little more than scratch the surface. With your current strength, I'm afraid it's not enough. I'm quite chivalrous. As long as you behave, I definitely won't harm you. In the face of such a powerful boss, my strength is indeed insignificant, but he doesn't know that the peachwood sword in my hand is no ordinary object. At max level, I'll kill anyone who stands in my way, even a god. The players were all stunned by my words, especially Su Qian. Su Shishua, have you gone mad? We struggled so much just fighting a dungeon monster, and you actually dare to challenge the boss. If it weren't for the fact that you're my sister, Farid would have torn you to pieces long ago. She knelt on the ground, a flicker of jealousy flashing in her eyes. But what none of them expected was that Farid actually withdrew the pressure he had placed on me. The previously tense atmosphere vanished, replaced by the anguished cries of all the players. My stomach, it suddenly hurt so much. It's all because I was greedy and ate that damn thing's cookies. Su Qian, doesn't F-Rad like you a lot? Hurry up and think of something. If you don't help us, we're going to die from the pain. Su Qian clutched her stomach, rolling on the ground in agony until she lost consciousness and fainted, unable to utter a word. I slowly stood up, my tense nerves gradually relaxing. Farid's ghostly voice echoed throughout the ancient castle. The game has only just begun. Little Shishua, take your time. We have all the time in the world. Just don't die too quickly. For Farid, an ancient monster who has lived for millennia, I pose no challenge at all. The reason he treats me differently is simply because I'm the only female player who hasn't been bewitched by his beauty, which he finds amusing. He's eagerly waiting for my Peachwood sword to level up, for my strength and speed to reach their peak, so he can torment me then. If I couldn't hold on and fell under his mental control, agreeing to his courtship, he would actually find it unchallenging. But he doesn't know that this ease won't last much longer. I suppressed the corner of my mouth. I know his most fatal weakness. The pain in the players' abdomens disappeared. Su-Qian woke from her coma and saw Farad sitting on the throne, her eyes lighting up. Ignoring her companion's attempts to stop her, she crawled to Farad's feet, enduring the pressure. "Darling, please, I beg you, don't harm my companions. I am willing to use my body in exchange for everyone's escape from the castle. Staying here to help you dispel your loneliness, and be your eternal bride." My toes curled so hard they could have carved out a Barbie dream house. How selfless, how pitifully touching. Unfortunately, the boss simply doesn't like women who are too easy to win over. The players were deeply moved by Su-Qian's sacrifice. Crying uncontrollably, Felid sat on the throne, coldly sizing up Su-Qian. A flicker of disdain flashed in his eyes as he spoke calmly. "What kind of person are you? How dare you even think of me? I was just using you to pass the time." "Did you really think I fell in love with you?" Su-Qian's face suddenly changed. She was utterly ashamed and wished she could find a crack in the ground to crawl into. She endured the humiliation, stubbornly trying to salvage the situation. "Efrat is just a bit shy and doesn't dare admit he's fallen for a human. He said I'm the most special one." Before she could finish her soliloquy, a powerful gust of demonic wind struck, knocking her to the ground. Su-Qian, as fragile as a piece of paper, was swept away by the force. Efrat truly had no patience left. This was meant to kill her. If Su-Qian is blown even one step outside the castle by the strong wind, she will be judged as having left the game and automatically die. She desperately grabbed onto her companion's clothes to avoid being blown away. The poor girl, whose dress was being pulled, had her collar opened wide, nearly exposing herself. Every player was having a hard time, because they didn't work hard to kill enemies, but instead chose to take shortcuts to clear the level. This made it difficult for them to move forward, forcing them to barely use their weapons to stabilize themselves and avoid being blown away. Their hands were rubbed raw and blistered, and on top of that, their weapons were of low quality. Some players' weapons couldn't withstand Feared's pressure and developed small cracks. The most unfortunate one was Su-Qian, as only all of her levels remained at 1, protected by Efrat all the way. She didn't even break a sweat, let alone kill any enemies. The female player's dress was torn at the corner, leaving Su-Qian with nothing to hold onto. She could only desperately cling to the floor, her delicate manicure bleeding. At that moment, the system's notification sound rang out. Ding, detected that over half of the players present have bat anomalies parasitizing their abdomens. A large number of juvenile bat anomalies will be born in 30 minutes. Please take emergency measures as soon as possible, or the juvenile bat anomalies will burst out of your chests. The system let out a gloating laugh, seemingly mocking all the players who had eaten the cookies. Their faces turned deathly pale, their eyes filled with a desperate longing for survival, and I, as the only person present who didn't eat the cookies, remained unharmed. The ground shook violently, and suddenly a mahogany-long table appeared, on which 3 bottles of blue potion were placed. Felid slowly approached, and I cautiously raised my Peachwood sword. He smiled faintly, looking at the Peachwood sword in my hand as if it were a child's toy. He mischievously pinched my chin, forcing me to look at the potions on the long table, his fingertips so cold they gave me goosebumps. With a snap of Farad's fingers, the players were once again tormented by stomach pain, clearly more intense than before. 3 antidotes. For humans in peril, the choice is yours. They passed out from the pain several times, only to be awakened by Farad's magic just seconds after closing their eyes. Their bellies slowly swelled, faintly revealing something moving inside, with several signs of it trying to break out. The players, who had always been aloof in the past, suddenly began showering me with concern and warmth. They regretted having stood by and watched coldly when Su-Qian framed me. Players who had once avoided me like the plague were now kneeling before me, all in the hope of securing a chance to survive. I held the 3 small bottles of potion in my hand, just about to hand them over. The voice of Farad came to my ears like a ghost, like an evil spirit luring people into hell. "Little Shishua, have you thought it through? Clear the game, split the prize money. Wouldn't it be better to take it all for yourself?" Su-Qian knew in her heart that her previous actions were utterly shameful, and among everyone, she was the least likely to obtain the antidote. She writhed in agony, twisting like a maggot to my feet and clutching at my pant leg. "Sister, I was wrong before. Once we clear the game, I'll never oppose you again. I'm in so much pain. Please save me. I won't take any of the prize money when we get out. It's all yours." Seeing this, the others quickly followed suit. They scrambled to give up the prize money. Only hoping to survive, I silently watched them kneel and beg for mercy, as Farad's voice echoed once more. Once we clear this level, we can each go our separate ways. Humans are the most foolish and greedy creatures. Their shamelessness is something you've experienced firsthand, little Shishue. He slowly reached out his hand, and an exquisite door suddenly appeared before him. A strange figure resembling a butler respectfully opened the door. The fragrance of a grassy field after rain drifted in from outside, along with the long unseen sunlight. Wisps of cooking smoke rose above the village, and the familiar scent of food wafted into his nose. Is this the human world? The players were moved to tears. Having long been tormented beyond recognition, they looked toward the gate leading to the human world, struggling to inch their way toward it. But a thick glass barrier blocked their path forward. Little Shishue, I really like you. As long as you give up on saving them, I'll grant you special permission to leave this place alone. The player who had just begged for mercy now looked ashen-faced and fell silent. The temptation of safely clearing the game was self-evident. I had no reason to risk my life by staying in this perilous castle. If I had been given the antidote earlier, I could have done a favor in return, but this time, I had no reason to refuse the chance to clear the game. I looked at the bustling world outside the door, smiled at Farad, and raised my hand to shatter the medicine bottle. The pale blue liquid spilled onto the center of the ancient castle, and Farad smiled with satisfaction. The right choice, my lady. Amidst the desperate gazes of everyone, I walked resolutely toward the door. At the moment I was about to step out the door, I suddenly turned around, raised the peachwood sword, and struck at Faralad. Faralad seemed not to have expected me to do this and couldn't dodge in time. I hit his shoulder squarely, and blue blood slowly oozed out, exactly the same color as the potion in that bottle. If I'm not mistaken, what's in the bottle isn't an antidote at all, but your blood. This blood will not save their lives. Instead, it will cause the bat-like anomalies in their abdomens to develop more rapidly and quickly enter a frenzied state. Only the system can summon the door that connects to the human world. If the bosses of the anomaly game could come and go as they please, wouldn't that cause chaos? You could feast on an all-you-can-eat buffet every day, so why would you settle for staying in the game? But clearly, you don't have that level of authority. In this game we're in, both humans and the supernatural must abide by the rules. If we win, we go home safely. If you win, you get to feast on flesh. It's that simple. To test my hypothesis, I pulled out the rattle drum I had picked up earlier at the guest house. Not long after I tossed it through the door, the scene inside abruptly transformed into a muddy wasteland. Several crimson imps scrambled out, tearing and biting at the rattle drum, not getting the meat they had been longing for. The little ghosts were very disappointed. They gnashed their teeth with a crackling sound, wishing they could devour me alive. But there was nothing they could do to me. The system's notification sound rang out. Congratulations to player Sushishua for passing the level test of wisdom. Mission rewards: Bat Anomaly Juvenile Antidote *4, Peachwood Sword upgraded to level 8, Physical Fitness Enhancement. The other players also received varying rewards, and after drinking the antidote, their abdominal pain quickly subsided. Everyone was celebrating their survival, except for Su Qian, who looked dejected and stared at me with resentment. Fellard's eyes flickered with a hint of delight, like a long-starved beast accidentally tasting a rare delicacy of the human world. Little Shishue, you are the only human to pass this test in such a long time. You really are different from them. So interesting. Farad licked his lips, smiling sinisterly. I really want to taste what you're like soon. Next time we meet, I'll get serious. Be prepared. With a gust of wind, Farad vanished from our sight. The previously oppressive atmosphere instantly turned cheerful, and the players gathered around me in a circle. The girl whose clothes were torn by Su Qian, Ro, looked at me with admiration, her eyes as gentle as a fawn's. Sister, you're really amazing. I wish I were half as smart as you. If it weren't for your calm analysis just now, we might have already kicked the bucket. Wang Jia, the quiet female office worker in the team, also spoke up for once. It's true that beauty alone is a dead end. Trying to get by just by selling your looks is nothing but a fantasy. Shishue, you're truly a role model for us women. The only muscular man in the team, Li Chang, did not hesitate to praise me. As the saying goes, a woman as fierce as an eagle. I smiled slightly and politely corrected, it's a woman as fierce as a female eagle, but thank you anyway. While everyone praised me, they also unanimously agreed on the principle that the words of the supernatural cannot be trusted, creating a very harmonious atmosphere. Su Qian, who was implicitly accused of selling her looks, was quite indignant. It's just a case of a blind cat stumbling upon a dead mouse. What's the big deal? I saw it coming all along. If it weren't for that awful biscuit making my stomach hurt so much I couldn't speak, I would have reminded her earlier. Sister Wang rolled her eyes. If you're so amazing, why didn't you convince the boss to let us pass? Hindsight is always 20/20. Li Chang also flared up, veins bulging. How dare you say that? If it weren't for you whispering in our ears and making us trust Farid, would we have eaten that disgusting biscuit and suffered like this? Su Qian's words stirred up public anger, leaving her speechless and unable to retort. She glared at me angrily, wanting to say something more. But a violent shake sent her tumbling head over heels. Amidst a dazzling white light, we were teleported by the system to the arena. Congratulations, lucky ones who have reached the final stage. Each of you will be matched with an opponent of comparable strength based on your abilities. At the conclusion of each duel, the victor holds absolute power over the life and death of the defeated. Are you ready? As soon as these words were spoken, everyone's hearts, which had been hanging in suspense, finally settled. Thank goodness, they're all evenly matched anomalies. We might not necessarily lose. An evenly matched opponent means that the weaker side is unlikely to encounter powerful anomalies, but in reality, that is not the case. The equally matched defined by the system refers to an average value. It refers to the level of the group on the human side against the level of the group on the supernatural side. Assuming the human contestant is a burly man with a combat power value at the upper middle level of the human side, then unfortunately, he will have to face a terrifying monster at the upper middle level in the supernatural world. On the contrary, frail humans might be able to pick up the slack with weapons of a certain level. With a whistle from the referee, Li Chang confidently stood at the center of the stage. He excitedly displayed his robust biceps to the audience, anticipating a thrilling showdown, but soon, he couldn't laugh anymore. Because he was facing a colossal monster whose size was as tall as a building. The troll extended his fingers, dripping with green slime, and gave a gentle flick. The muscular man's proud physique was instantly shattered into pieces. The outcome was quickly decided, leaving only the four of us girls in the team. First round of the competition, the supernatural side wins. The current score on the field is 1-0. Watching the elder brother, who had just been chatting amiably, become a meal for the eerie creature, Ro couldn't help but burst into tears. The giant eerie creature cleaned up the scene as if chewing gum, let out a belch, and then swaggered away. Before the second round of the competition began, I comforted Ro and discussed strategies with her. On the stage, the eerie creature stretched its neck several meters long, eagerly waiting on the platform, staring intently at the crying Ro and urging her on. Just let me eat you early and get it over with. What's the point of discussing anything? The outcome will be the same anyway, right, little crybaby? Ruru was so scared that her tears wouldn't stop, and I glared at the long-necked anomaly. What's the rush? It's not certain who will win or lose yet. I leaned close to Ro's ear to speak. After a while, Ro, trembling, stepped onto the stage holding a baseball bat as a weapon. I saw Ro move with agility. The moment the long-necked creature opened its gaping maw, she circled behind him and gently wrapped her arms around his neck. Trying to seduce me won't work, little girl. The long neck didn't take Ro seriously at all, allowing her to approach without any concern, until, using a familiar technique, Ro used the baseball bat as a needle to tie the eerie long neck into a figure-8 knot. What? The long neck struggled to move its head, but to no avail. Its proud field of vision was blocked, forcing it to look only at the ceiling, until it was finally pushed off the field by Ro. Round 2, victory goes to the human side. The score is now 1-1. Ruru was immersed in the joy of victory. Fortunately, I didn't slack off when learning sewing from my mom. Phew, when the system asked her whether to execute the long-necked ghost, she hesitated noticeably. But remembering the tragic state of brotherly Chang, Ruru chose to execute it. When I asked Ro the reason for choosing this way, if we are defeated, the anomalies will not leave us any chance of survival. Isn't that right? I nodded with satisfaction. That's correct. The following matches ended with 1 win and 1 loss. Sister 1 lost to the domestic abuser male anomaly. She knew all along that she wasn't good at fighting, so she voluntarily jumped off the stage. Before her death, she distributed all her experience points evenly among us. These valuable experience points provided the remaining players with a greater chance of survival. As usual, Su Qian chose to seduce, coaxing the male anomaly into a state of delight, and she obediently stepped down from the stage. When choosing whether to execute the opponent, Su Qian, however, did not follow through with the agreement and chose to spare the life. The pot-bellied male ghost cried uncontrollably. "You didn't say that before." Su Qian waved her hand, speaking with righteous conviction. "That was just a lie to appease you. In my heart, there is only Farid. Even if he hurts me 10,000 times, I will still firmly choose him until I melt his cold heart." Su Qian spoke these words with deep affection, on the verge of tears several times, looking pitiful and delicate. After speaking, she didn't forget to glance at Farid at the top of the arena. Farid's expression remained indifferent, not even sparing her a glance. He had long lost interest in humans like Su Qian, who were so easily won over, and had no time to bother with them. The score on the field became 2-2. When it was my turn to step onto the ring, I focused with all my might. As Farad slowly moved and walked onto the ring, all the monsters let out gasps of astonishment in unison. The boss is actually going to personally face off against this human girl. This match must be a mistake. That girl looks so fragile. Exactly. A human who can go up against the boss should be at the peak of human combat prowess, at least a world champion in mixed martial arts or a global bodybuilding champion. She's in for a rough time. The boss has always been particularly cruel to beautiful human girls. Seeing that I was paired with the boss, Ro was so frightened that she immediately summoned the system. However, the response she received was, the matching result was not incorrect. I patted my chest to boost my own confidence. Farad stared at me with a puzzled look. You don't seem surprised by this outcome. I smiled faintly. When we had physical contact in the castle, you enhanced my body. You should know better than I do. Farad raised an eyebrow. I should have realized it sooner. You're different from them. It's a shame to devour you. Stay with me, Sushishue. I raised the peachwood sword and thrust it toward him with lightning speed. In your dreams. Farad nimbly dodged the attack. A small cut appearing on his face. Is that all you've got, little Shishue? Your swordplay is so weak, you won't be able to kill me like that. I chuckled inwardly. Oh, really? I raised my hand, and a massive swarm of vampire bats surged toward Farad, tearing at his flesh. The eerie beings below the stage exclaimed in surprise. Isn't that the bat only the boss can control? What on earth is that woman's background? That she can command vampire bats. It's not that I'm truly all-powerful, but rather the skill from the peachwood sword, Devour, came into play. During that last charge, my peachwood sword had been stained with Ephrad's blood. I have devoured the boss's ability to summon vampire bats and made it my own. This means that Farad can no longer use this skill. Farad's expression remained calm. He clearly saw through my little trick, and with a snap of his fingers, the vampire bats turned to dust. Little Shishue, you're still too naive. They're just some useless bats. What does it matter if I give them to you? He leisurely dodged the attacks, and as I charged at him once more, he spread his massive bat wings, blocking all the strikes. The scales on his wings transformed into countless sharp arrows, raining down on me like a sudden storm. I tumbled forward several times, barely managing to dodge, then charged toward Farad again. After what felt like an eternity of close-quarters combat, Farad still hadn't fallen into a disadvantage. Even the eerie beings below were marveling that I could actually trade blows with the castle's boss. If I could stay, I would surely become an elite eerie being in Farad's hands, but they overestimated me too much, even if I could barely keep up with Farad's movements. Humans and eerie beings are ultimately not the same species, and the gap in physical strength is vast. I was already panting heavily from exhaustion, while Farad hadn't shed a single drop of sweat. Just as I was at a loss, the system's prompt suddenly sounded. Congratulations to player Sushishue. The peachwood sword has reached max level. The holy sword has descended. I tilted my head slightly and saw Ro lying weakly in the audience seats, shouting at me, Sister, you must come back alive. It's a deal. When we get back to reality, I'll treat you to our local pig slaughtering feast. She transferred all her experience to me. Then I absolutely cannot let her down. As my strength gradually recovered, I swung forcefully at Farad. The peachwood sword in my hand had already transformed into a holy sword, possessing boundless power. With a swift raise and fall of the blade, the arena was split in two by me. Farad saw the holy sword in my hand, and the ease on his face vanished, replaced by a thick, murderous intent. He lunged at me swiftly, aiming to finish me off quickly. I dodged with a sidestep, missed a few strikes, but the final one hit its mark. As I expected, the places struck by the holy sword showed no signs of healing again. Taking advantage of my restored stamina, I engaged in close combat with Farad once more. This time, his movements were noticeably slower, and his evasive actions were not as agile, even for a boss with multiple holy sword wounds on his body. His stamina had reached its limit by now. Seizing the opportunity, I pressed my advantage and, with a few swift strikes, pierced his heart. The crowd below erupted in excitement. They could hardly believe it, that a young girl like me could push the ancient castle's great boss to such a state. I pinned Ephrad firmly to the arena with the holy sword. Finally, weariness showed on his face, yet he remained defiant. I have 8 hearts like this. Just piercing one won't kill me. I smiled faintly. Of course I know that, so I just used the holy sword to pin you here. The vampire bats obeyed and approached, carrying a pink metal object in their mouths. Suchin felt her pocket and wondered, strange, where is my lighter? A raging fire burned at the center of the arena, and Farad watched as his body visibly turned to ashes. Impossible, I actually lost to a human, he roared, but as the arena collapsed, his voice gradually faded away. I had exhausted all my strength. Lying on the ground in a state of collapse, with the system's excited notification ringing in my ears, congratulations to player Sushishua for defeating the ancient castle boss. You are the first to officially clear this instance. The boss has been eliminated. All game scenes will collapse within 30 seconds. Please leave the instance as soon as possible. I don't know where the willpower came from, but I gritted my teeth and dragged myself toward the door. The gate was right in front of me, but the multiple fatal wounds on my body made every movement feel like stepping on the edge of a knife. At this critical moment, Ro grabbed me and carried me on her back, with such incredible strength. No wonder she could twist the long neck of the eerie creature. Sister, don't give up, let's get out together. With only a few seconds left on the countdown, we rushed out the gate. Congratulations to both players for successfully escaping the castle. You have won the 50 million grand prize, which will be transferred to your bank accounts legally within 2 business days. Please check your accounts. After surviving the ordeal, Ro, and I embraced in relief, but then I suddenly noticed something odd. Wait, why does it say only 2 players? What about Suqian? Ro also felt puzzled. Yeah, logically speaking, she was the one who expended the least physical energy. There's no reason she couldn't run out over such a short distance. The system received the command, ding, retrieving the death replay of player Suqian now. A holographic screen suddenly appeared before them, showing a strange old lady viciously biting Suqian's leg, frantically preventing her from escaping toward the door. Looking at the face, it was unmistakably a gender-swapped, enlarged version of the fat strange creature Suqian had been competing against on stage. What has my son done wrong? Has he ever laid a finger on you? Why must he be executed? You vicious woman, don't even think about going back, Suqian screamed in fear. You crazy old hag, let go of me. But in the end, her strength was no match for the anomaly, and both the person and the anomaly were buried in the ruins. I sighed. You reap what you sow. Rura patted my shoulder. Hey, it's not like we caused it, so don't dwell on it. Do you remember what the first thing we need to do when we get back is? I smiled again. The pig slaughtering feast. Go. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. On the evening of the Dragon Boat Festival, Grandma gave my sister and me 2 zomzi. One was sweet, and the other was savory. My sister quickly chose the sweet one, while I ate the savory one. The sister who ate the sweet rice dumpling grew more and more beautiful. Before the college entrance exam, she hung out with troublemakers, but after entering university, she woke up and transformed into a campus goddess. Later, she entered the entertainment industry and gained a large following of fans. 10 years later, the effects of the rice dumpling faded, her looks began to decline, and she lost all the privileges she had gained because of her beauty. My sister panicked. To maintain the status quo, she went crazy with plastic surgery. As the number of procedures increased, the drawbacks began to show. Instead of stopping, she invested all her savings into it. When she lost everything, she saw my photo on the cover of a magazine. It read, Woman Entrepreneur of the Year. Why should I lose everything while you remain unchanged? Kill you, and I'll have money for plastic surgery again. Ha ha ha. On the rooftop of the skyscraper, my sister, with her overdone plastic surgery face, pushed me off the building with a sinister laugh. In her moment of triumph, she also slipped on a steel pipe and fell down with me. When we opened our eyes again, we were back on the day we were choosing zomzi. My younger sister chose the savory rice dumpling first. She leaned close to my ear. Sister, it's time for you to experience the despair of being a mere vase. After falling from the rooftop, I opened my eyes again and found myself reborn back to the Dragon Boat Festival when I was 18. Grandma pushed 2 zomzi in front of me and my sister. Yeah, Shinshin, these 2 zomzi, the sweet one brings beauty, and the savory one brings wealth. The effects last only 10 years. I choose the savory zomzi. Before Grandma could finish speaking, Song Xian snatched the savory zomzi, peeled off the bamboo leaves, and wolfed it down. I looked at the remaining sweet rice dumplings on the table, my expression calm, and unwrapped one to eat as well. At this moment, I was certain that Song Xian had also been reborn. It wasn't just Song Xian who had changed, Grandma had too. I remembered it clearly. In my past life, Grandma looked at us with loving eyes as we ate the zomzi. Now, she gazed at Song Xian and sighed, her eyes filled with disappointment. She waited silently for us to finish eating, then glanced up at the clock on the wall. 5:56 p.m. She sighed again and gave us a piece of advice. Yeah, Shinshin, don't rely too much on zomzi. To walk steadily on the path ahead, you must have some skills of your own, especially Shinshin. Grandma looked at Song Xian with heartfelt sincerity. Don't choose the wrong path again. Your sister is not your rival, she's family. Song Xian pressed her lips tightly together, offering no reply. Her brows and eyes filled with impatience. Grandma still wanted to say a few more words to her, But the chime of the hour rang out, and the clock on the wall pointed exactly to 6 in the afternoon. Forget it. Take care of yourself, this old woman. It's time for me to go. Grandma reluctantly glanced around the room one last time and slowly walked out the door, watching her hunched back. My eyes grew a little warm. Grandma. I rushed out the door and hugged her tightly, burying my head in her shoulder as tears fell silently. I whispered in her ear, Grandma, can you please not leave? I still need to earn money, buy you a big house, and give you a good life, silly child. Grandma patted my head, her tone tinged with reluctance, and replied softly as well, Grandma doesn't need a big house, as long as you're doing well. That's all I could ask for. Yeah, you're a good child. From now on, you must protect yourself and not give anyone the chance to hurt you, including Shinshin. Grandma has to go now. Take care. I stood at the door, watching Grandma disappear around the corner once more, my eyes blurred with tears. The clock in the living room pointed to 6:10, and just as in my past life, I received a call from the hospital. Are you Ms. Songyu? This is the First People's Hospital of Linhui City. We regret to inform you that your grandmother, Ms. Song Dahua, suffered a heart attack at 5:23 p.m. this afternoon and was brought to our hospital for emergency treatment just 10 minutes ago. The rescue efforts were unsuccessful, and she was confirmed deceased. Please come as soon as possible to claim the body. I mumbled a response, hung up the phone, and stepped into the house. Song Xian was looking down at her phone, and when she saw me come in, she let out a scornful laugh. What's the matter? Did you get the news of the old woman's death? Songyu, what are you pretending for? You've already been through this once. What's there to be sad about? Slap. A crisp slap echoed throughout the room. Song Xian covered her face, staring at me in disbelief. Songyu, how dare you hit me? I'm hitting you. I tried my best to restrain myself from slapping her a second time. Song Xian, that's Grandma, the one who raised you, not some old hag. The hospital called to say she passed away. How can you be so heartless? Song Xian, however, smiled. Me, cold-blooded. In my past life, when I came to you for money to get plastic surgery, how did you treat me? Who's really the cold-blooded one here? How did I treat her? I have always been clear in my conscience when it comes to her. In my previous life, Song Xian was addicted to plastic surgery. I tried to dissuade her more than once, but she wouldn't listen, believing I was hindering her pursuit of beauty. When I saw her again, she had already ruined her face. In that condition, she still wanted to borrow money for more surgery. How could I possibly lend it to her? But I never gave up on her. I found her top cosmetic doctors both domestically and internationally, hoping to help her remove the implants and fillers and restore her to a normal state. When Song Xian asked me to meet on the rooftop, I was terrified. I was afraid she might do something foolish in despair, and I pleaded with her over the phone, begging her not to give up on herself. At that time, she was the only family I had in my eyes. Little did I know then that 11 minutes later, she would push me off the rooftop with her own hands. Song Xian, don't pretend to be crazy or foolish. What past life? I'm talking about Grandma. I pretended to be angry on the surface. For now, I couldn't let her know that I had also been reborn. Song Xian squinted her eyes, looked me up and down, then covered her stomach and laughed. Heaven has finally favored me once. Songyu, you have no idea what you've missed, do you, in this life? It's your turn to be the vase. My fists clenched with a creaking sound, and it took great effort to hold back from swinging them at Song Xian's face. More words are useless. Song Xian, I need to go to the hospital to collect Grandma's remains. If you still care even a little about family, come with me. Don't be ridiculous. Who cares? Song Xian got up and went inside, slamming the door shut with a bang. Soon after, the sound of rummaging through drawers and cabinets could be heard from inside the room. I closed my eyes wearily. When Song Xian pushed me down the stairs, she was already dead to me. If it weren't for Grandma, I wouldn't have spoken a single word to her, but I never expected that Song Xian didn't care about Grandma at all. She wouldn't even go to see her off on her final journey. Returning from the funeral home, I held my grandmother's ashes in my hands. The hospital emergency care and cremation cost a total of 30,000. I borrowed from every legitimate online lending platform I could find just to scrape together that amount. By the time I got home, it was already 9 in the evening. The door was wide open, and Song Xian was nowhere to be seen. Grandma's room was also open. Standing in the living room, I could see the blanket crumpled into a ball and carelessly thrown on the floor. Oh no, a bad feeling rose in my heart. I placed Grandma's ashes on the table and rushed into her bedroom in a few quick steps. Sure enough, Grandma's money box had been opened, and the cash inside was gone. Was it Song Xian who did it? I furrowed my brow, took out my phone, and dialed her number. The call was answered as soon as it started ringing. Song Xian's gloating voice came through the receiver. My dear sister, isn't it a pleasant surprise? Song Xian's words basically confirmed my suspicions, but I wasn't ready to give up. Suppressing my anger, I asked again, Song Xian, where are you? Did you take Grandma's money? That's right, the money is in my hands, Song Xian admitted straightforwardly, then changed her tone, but I don't intend to share it with you. You want to keep Grandma's money all to yourself. I was somewhat taken aback, unable to believe that a person's face could be so thick. Song Xian, you didn't even go to see Grandma for the last time, so why should you take her money? Even if it's inheritance, it should be split equally. Sister, you said it yourself, that was Grandma's money. Song Xian's tone rose, making it clear that she was in a good mood at the moment. I am also Grandma's granddaughter, why can't I take it? Grandma left a total of 9,000, and even if we split it in half, it's only 4,500, what if I don't give it to you? Go ahead and call the police if you dare, let's see if they'll even file a case for less than 5,000. Haha, Song Xian's laughter came through the receiver, making my eardrums ache. I don't know what went wrong, how did we end up like this? In my previous life, it was me who ate the salty rice dumpling. After Grandma passed away, Song Xian and I suppressed our grief and took the college entrance exam a week later. We did very well on the exam, but the money Grandma left behind wasn't even enough to cover one semester's tuition. Song Xian begged me to drop out of school so she could go to college. She said she would repay me in the future. I didn't agree verbally, but my heart gradually wavered, until I discovered that Song Xian was truly becoming more and more beautiful. Grandma's words came true. With a hopeful mindset, I went to the lottery shop to buy tickets, and the result was astonishing, no matter how I bought them. I never lost, it was just a matter of how much I earned. In just one afternoon, I made a net profit of tens of thousands. From then on, I took on the living expenses for both of us. This continued until Song Xian became a highly sought-after top star, capable of supporting herself well. I never mistreated her. Why did it lead to such an outcome? Why is Song Xian trying to drive me to the brink? But I dare not ask. Provoking her now would definitely not be a wise move. The college entrance exam is just around the corner. For a child from a family like mine, the exam is like a second chance at life. There's no room for mistakes. Song Xian, my tone softened. The college entrance exam is in just 1 week. If you take all the money, how am I supposed to get through these days? Can you get the money back first? Just 1,000 is fine. I can write an IOU. Once the exams are over, I'll immediately look for a part-time job and definitely pay you back. I nervously gripped the receiver. On the other end of the line, Song Xian burst into laughter. Sis, want to guess why I took all the money? If you don't have money, why don't you just sell yourself? With your looks, sister, you could definitely fetch a good price. If you don't have any connections, I can introduce you. 1,000 per time, Grand Hyatt Hotel. Before Song Xian could finish her sentence, the call was disconnected. The receiver emitted a series of beep, beep sounds. She carelessly tossed her phone aside, threw herself onto the hotel's Simmons mattress, and let out a strange laugh, laughing until tears welled up in the corners of my eyes. Sister, what will you choose? The college entrance exam or your self-respect? You've always looked down on me, but now I want to see if, when it's your turn to make a choice, you'll sacrifice your body just like I did. Silly sister, your path of downfall begins today. The next morning, I arrived at the school gate right on time. Sam Xinjing had been waiting here all along. Did my sister actually come after all? What? Do you still have any money? She stared unwaveringly into my eyes, trying to catch a hint of something. Instinctively, I pressed my hand against my school uniform pocket, where 10 yuan lay quietly, the last bit of money I had left. I don't know what trick Song Xian is going to pull next. My palms are sweating with cold sweat, but I try my best to stay calm on the surface. Song Xian, I don't want to see you ever again. I hope you stay far away from me too. I push past Song Xian and enter the campus. There's only 1 week left until the college entrance exam, but I'm myself from 12 years later, and I've almost completely forgotten the high school knowledge. The only advantage lies in mathematics and English. In my previous life, I was consistently engaged in data-related work and never neglected mathematics. To expand overseas business, my English also reached a level comparable to my native language. High school physics essentially revolves around 3 areas: force, magnetism, and velocity. Memorize the formulas, practice a few more sets of problems, and with my own notes, I should be able to achieve a decent score. The most challenging subjects are Chinese, chemistry, and biology. There are no formulas to rely on. They mostly depend on memorization, and I'm not sure if there will be enough time. The morning passed quickly, and with the exams approaching, the teacher no longer taught any new content. Everyone was studying diligently. During lunchtime, I used the last 60 cents on my meal card to buy a steamed bun at the cafeteria, just enough to spend it all. According to my calculations, there was still 1 bowl of rice left at home. I could cook it myself and bring it to school. which would help me get through the next 2 days. The remaining 10 yuan, buying 2 steamed buns each day, should be enough to get me through until the end of the college entrance exams. As long as I can make it until the exams are over, there will be plenty of ways to earn money. I took the steamed buns back to the classroom, taking a sip of cold water and a bite of bun while reviewing my studies. My attention was completely focused on the books, so I didn't notice a figure quietly appearing at the back door of the classroom. Song Xin stood at the back door of the classroom, her eyes fixed venomously on the steamed bun in my hand. Song, do you think you can get through these few days unscathed? Don't even think about staying clean. I swear, I will drag you into the mud. Let's see if you can still keep that aloof face then. We have plenty of time ahead. The weather in June, yet a cold wind was blowing at the back of my neck. I suddenly felt as if I was being watched. I turned around abruptly, but there was nothing behind me in the classroom. Could I have been mistaken? Suspiciously, I turned my head back and continued to immerse myself in my book. Song Xin didn't come to cause trouble until school ended in the afternoon, and I breathed a sigh of relief. After walking home for 2 hours, the landlord was already waiting inside. Seeing my figure, she suddenly stood up. Yeah, you're finally back. Isn't it time to pay this month's rent? The landlord squinted her eyes, smiling insincerely as she reached out her hand toward me. The past events surged like a tide. Yes, this is 12 years ago. The family relied entirely on my grandmother collecting scrap to make ends meet, and we didn't own any property. We rented a place in an urban village, and the rent had to be paid to the landlord at the beginning of each month. I had actually forgotten about it. Where could I possibly get the money in such a short time? I was left speechless, feeling somewhat embarrassed. Seeing this, the landlady understood everything, and her face completely darkened. Song, if you can't afford the rent, move out today. Clear the house so I can rent it to someone else. With the college entrance exam just around the corner, where could I possibly move? The landlord's words struck me like a bolt from the blue, pinning me to the spot. Auntie, could you give me a few more days? I'll find a part-time job as soon as my exams are over, and I'll definitely make up the rent. My tone was almost pleading. The landlady flatly refused. No, what if you can't pay it back? I promise I can pay it back. Or, Auntie, how about I move out after you find a new tenant? I compromised, hoping the new tenant would be found later. In just 1 week, it will be the college entrance exam. The landlord grew impatient, waving her hand as if shooing away a fly. Don't give me all that nonsense. Just get out. I've already found a new tenant. Pack your things now. You have to move out today. But Auntie, the lease only expires today. How could it be rented out so quickly? The landlord was clearly lying to me, yet I had no choice but to beg her over and over again. I couldn't help but feel a pang of bitterness in my heart. How many years has it been since I last had to bow my head because of money? The feeling of sadness hasn't passed yet. The bedroom door suddenly opened, and Song Xin leaned against the doorframe, looking at me with a smile. Sis, the landlord didn't lie to you. They really found a new tenant. Ding ding ding. The new tenant is me, and the rent is 10 times higher. You probably can't afford it now, can you? Song Xin wore a mocking smile at the corner of her mouth, looking at me with a triumphant expression, as if she were watching a joke. It's her again. I closed my eyes wearily and asked the question that had been on my mind all along. Song Xin, what exactly have I done to wrong you that you would go to such lengths to drive me to ruin? I just can't stand seeing you like this. In my past life, I asked you to invest in promoting me, but you insisted that I start from being an extra to hone my acting skills. Song Xion's expression suddenly became agitated. Why is it that others can succeed without acting skills, while you have so much money yet forced me to start from scratch? It was you who drove me to accompany the director. You ruined me, and it's only fair that I ruin you too. Hearing her say that, I finally felt relieved, and the turmoil in my eyes settled back into calm. It was just an ungrateful wretch. How could I doubt myself? As if I had truly done something to wrong her. You're crazy. What director? What nonsense are you talking about? I pretended to be confused. Song Xin, however, completely broke down. She gripped my hand so tightly that her nails nearly dug into my flesh. You don't know, Song, if only you had memories of your past life. That way, when you have nothing left, it would be even more painful. You're truly insane. I pulled my hand free from Song Xion's grasp and began packing my belongings on my own. Isn't it just moving? I'll move then. Is there a need to act crazy and play dumb? I don't have much luggage. Apart from a few school uniforms and some daily necessities, there's not much to pack. I picked up Grandma's ashes, and before leaving, took one last look at this place that was once home. Turning around, I walked into the night, pushing a suitcase missing a wheel. I walked along the empty street, unsure for a moment which way to go. I scrolled through my phone's contact list, my gaze settling on my homeroom teacher's name. After hesitating for a long time, I finally dialed her number. Hello. Teacher, this is Sangyu, could you please help me? From that day on, I never went back to school again. The homeroom teacher said Song Xian had come to see her, asking about my whereabouts. She only said I had taken leave and didn't reveal any other information. I never saw Song Xian again until the college entrance exams were over, after finishing the last subject. I walked out of the exam hall and finally breathed a sigh of relief, the day after the college entrance exams ended. A photo of the most beautiful candidate went viral online. In the photo, I had my hair tied up in a simple bun, facing the camera. My smile was gentle and serene, but my eyes were shining brightly. Not long after, Song Xian's phone calls came one after another. She must have seen that photo too, completely losing her composure. In my previous life, the person in that photo was her. For someone like her, who thrived on being the center of attention, having her spotlight stolen was worse than death. I smiled faintly, snapped the SIM card in half, and replaced it with a new number. For a businessperson, public attention can be monetized. Taking advantage of the time when the most beautiful exam taker is trending online, I plan to create a persona of a beautiful academic genius. By leveraging live streaming, I aim to cover my university tuition fees and repay the money I owe my homeroom teacher. However, the key question is, what should the content of the live stream be? I can't just focus on making money without doing anything meaningful, right? I quickly came up with an idea: live tutoring sessions, a beautiful top student tutoring live. As long as my content is substantial, it doesn't count as scamming money. I got right to it, burying my head back in the books to organize the live content. 15 days later, when the college entrance exam results come out, I can start the live stream. Days passed one by one, and in the blink of an eye, it was the day the results were announced. While my phone score-checking page was still loading, my homeroom teacher's call had already come through. Sangyu, congratulations, you are the top scorer in the province this year. The phone slipped from my hand, and the 200 yuan device instantly cracked like a spider web. By the time I snapped out of the overwhelming surprise, the call was still ongoing, and my homeroom teacher's concerned voice came through the receiver. Sangyu, are you alright? I'm fine. Just so happy that I couldn't hold my phone steady, thank you. Teacher, it's good that you're okay. Sangyu, if you have any questions about your college application choices, feel free to ask me anytime. Here, I wish you smooth sailing ahead and a bright future. In my mind, I immediately pictured my homeroom teacher adjusting his glasses with a gentle expression, and I couldn't help but feel my eyes welling up. If it weren't for the help of the homeroom teacher, I don't know what situation I would be in. After expressing heartfelt thanks, I hung up the phone. I couldn't help but start calculating in my mind. Every year, the top scorer in the province receives a subsidy of 200,000 yuan, and normally, schools also have policies to reduce or waive tuition fees. My gaze fell on the prepared live streaming notes, and I felt somewhat conflicted. After all, should I still go live or not? Forget it, I'll go live. I've been preparing for half a month, and it would be a shame not to share what I've summarized. At 8 o'clock in the evening, I started the live stream on time. The gimmick of being a beauty top scorer works even better than beauty academic genius. Just 10 minutes after the live stream started, the number of viewers in the live room exceeded 10,000. The atmosphere in the comment section was very friendly, with almost all comments being compliments. What a beautiful little sister. To the person upstairs, all you see is her beauty. Let me tell you, she's the top science student in our province. I can confirm it's true. Oh my, which window did God close for you? May I ask? In which direction should I pray to have a daughter like her? Same request +1, same request plus 10,086. I shyly pursed my lips and revealed the blackboard behind me. Hello everyone, my name is Sangyu. I will be broadcasting continuously for a month, sharing my study methods and techniques, as well as some key exam points. The comment section suddenly exploded. Quick, quick, quick. My kid is going to be a senior in high school next semester. I'm going to drag him over to study. Woo-woo, study god. This is so timely. I was just planning to retake the year. So jealous, why didn't I encounter such a kind-hearted person back in my day? Good people get into 985 universities in this life. Today's good deed +1, because you saved an academic underachiever. Thank you, big shot, for saving my dog's life. Referring to math, netizens are all masters of witty remarks. I tried hard to hold back the corners of my mouth to keep from laughing out loud. For the next while, I immersed myself in explaining the key points and example problems, no longer paying attention to the barrage. An hour later, I paused to take a sip of water and opened the voice chat. Fellow juniors, do you have any questions about what I just covered? Feel free to join the voice chat and ask. A user named Hate Sister was the first to connect. After I clicked to allow, Song Xian's voice came through the microphone. Sangyu, Are you so desperate for money that you've come to live streaming to cash in? My expression turned grim. In the comments section below, many people actually spoke up for me. Free live streaming is called cashing in. I suggest you look up how to write the word cashing in the dictionary. You're the one who freeloads and then criticizes the chef. Sounds like an internet beggar to me, doesn't it? With your kind of negativity. I bet you even see public service announcements as sales pitches. Song Xin was completely triggered and started arguing directly with netizens in the comments section. Are you all out of your minds, rushing to give Song money? She's only streaming to get your gifts, acting all high and mighty. Can't you see through that? Finally, she was kicked offline by the system for using profanity. I watched coldly, not stopping her. In her previous life, from her debut to becoming a top star, she had always spoken without restraint. And I had lost count of how many times I had to clean up her mess. Nowadays, with the internet so advanced, the number of viewers in my livestream has already reached 20 million. It won't be long before everyone learns about how she stole her grandmother's money and kicked me out of the house before the college entrance exams. Those I once sheltered in an ivory tower in my past life should now get a taste of what it's like to be devoured by the backlash of public attention. My smile remained unchanged, unaffected by Song Xin's words, as I continued to connect with other callers. After addressing all the questions, I waved to the screen. Thank you all for patiently listening. We'll meet again tomorrow night at 8 o'clock sharp. The comments in the chat were also buzzing with activity. After listening, I felt full of hope for life, until I glanced at my monthly exam results. Next time, bring your parents along for the live stream, let them recognize the genetic gap. Thanks to the expert for making me realize, the only thing standing between me and Tsinghua/Beijing University is a brain. Top scorer, sharing experience, netizens, collective incense offering, electronic merit edition. Amidst a barrage of bullet comments, I clicked to end the stream. My first live stream brought me earnings as high as tens of millions. With that money, I repaid my online loans and the debt to my homeroom teacher, and I also found a well-located burial plot for my grandmother. For the next month of streaming, I turned off the gift-giving feature and declined offers from advertisers. Song Xin never came to cause trouble again. She was exposed by others and had her hands full dealing with her own issues, so she had no choice but to leave the internet, change her residence, and disappear from my world. School started in September. I packed my bags and enrolled in the country's top science and engineering university, Q University, majoring in hyperdimensional computing and crisis simulation science. This major is only offered at Q University nationwide, and it admits only 3 students each year. This has always been my dream, yet, to have the financial means to clean up Song Xin's messes, I had to give up chasing my dream time and again. I gave up the chance to change my major, the chance to pursue a master's degree. In this lifetime, I finally have the opportunity to fulfill my dream. The first year of university passed very pleasantly, and Song Xin never appeared again. As time went by, I almost forgot about her existence, until, during the second year's orientation, I was stopped on campus by a girl who felt both strange and familiar. Sister, I looked at the girl with confusion, and it took me a long time to find a hint of familiarity in her unfamiliar face. Are you, Song Xin? Yes, sister. Do I look pretty? Song Xin gently stroked her face, which was full of traces of plastic surgery, and gave me a sweet smile. Sorry, classmate, I don't have a sister, only a grandmother who has already passed away. Please don't call just anyone sister. I take a step back, putting some distance between myself and Song Xin, eyeing her warily. The smile on Song Xin's face remains unchanged. It's fine if you don't want to acknowledge me as your sister, but as a senior welcoming new students, there's no problem in showing me, a new junior, around the campus. Right, there is a problem. I turned around to leave, but my roommate quickly grabbed me. Hey, Song, the great beauty, you're my living advertisement for recruiting new members, and you still need to help me attract juniors to join the club. You absolutely can't leave. My roommate blinked her big eyes, looking at me pleadingly. I'm really afraid of you. I sighed helplessly, avoided Song Xin, and walked to the other side. Song Xin didn't leave immediately but stood there, chatting with my roommate about something. After a while, my roommate came over and told me that she was going to show the new junior who had joined the club around the school and would come find me when it was time for dinner. I nodded to show I understood. Looking up, I saw Song Xin give me a slight smile and silently mouth something. Sister, you can't escape. My roommate pulled Song Xin away. I stared in the direction they left for a long while before lowering my gaze. Song Xin, I won't run away. I'll be waiting for you. The afternoon passed by quickly. When it was time for dinner, I kept my promise and waited for my roommate at the agreed spot for half an hour. She didn't show up, so I had no choice but to head to the cafeteria first. After finishing my meal, I returned to the dormitory from the cafeteria. only to find my roommate already there. Seeing me, she froze for a moment. Then, as if snapping back to reality, she affectionately wrapped her arm around mine. Yeah, I'm sorry, I was having such a great time chatting with my junior that I completely forgot I had made plans to have dinner with you. It's okay. I gave a faint smile and subtly withdrew my hand. As early as 10 minutes ago, I had received a picture from an unknown number on my phone. In the picture, my roommate and Song Xian were dining at an upscale restaurant off campus, both wearing bright smiles. Following the text message was a sentence: "Sister, I will take everything from you, including your friends. As the new school year begins, I am preparing to submit my application to join Professor Zhuang's research team. The application materials are still missing some key components. Lately, I have been so busy that I can hardly catch my breath. By the time I finished my busy period, my roommate and Song Xian had become as close as one person, from what I know of Song Xian. Her goal is definitely not just to take my friend away, she wants to ruin me. Getting close to my roommate is probably just one part of her plan. The deadline for Professor Zhuang's team to receive application materials is 4 p.m. today. For the first time ever, I didn't leave the dorm in the morning. Instead, I sat right at the desk by my lower bunk and started wrapping up my work. At 11 in the morning, I stretched and yawned. When I looked up, I noticed my roommate staring at me. I smiled faintly. "What's wrong? Is there something on my face?" And no, nothing. My roommate's eyes flickered with a hint of panic as she picked up her water glass and took a big gulp. "Take it slow. No one's going to snatch it from you." I looked at her with concern, though a faint, almost imperceptible smile tugged at the corner of my mouth. "It's already 11. Want to grab a meal together? It's been a while since we last ate together." I extended an invitation to my roommate, but she awkwardly shook her head. "No, I've already made plans with someone else." I didn't ask her who that someone else was. I didn't need to ask. It was most likely Song Xian. I nodded. "All right then, maybe next time we can go together." Leaving the dorm, I went straight to the cafeteria. After finishing my meal, I took a stroll along the tree-lined path, estimating that enough time had passed before returning to the dorm. The dorm room door was wide open. My roommate was nowhere to be seen, and both her computer and mine were soaking in the sink. I swiped a few times on my phone. After a while, a strange smile appeared on my face. While waiting, my roommate also returned. Upon seeing the scene inside the room, she let out a scream, and the milk tea in her hand fell to the ground. My roommate rushed into the dorm, frantically fishing the computer out of the sink and grabbing a dry cloth to wipe it down. If she hadn't kept sneaking glances at my reaction, the act would have been more convincing. Yeah. "I'm so sorry. I forgot to close the door when I went out earlier. I never imagined someone could be so malicious, sneaking in to cause trouble. Don't worry, this is my fault. I'll compensate you for the computer." "Compensate me? Do you know how long I've been preparing my materials?" I raised an eyebrow and looked at her. A helpless expression appeared on my roommate's face. "But yeah, I didn't mean for this to happen either. The computer is already ruined, and blaming me won't help." I was infuriated by my roommate's shamelessness and replied coldly, "It's fine, I've called the police. My computer is custom-made and worth 200,000, which counts as a valuable item. The police will help find the culprit." My roommate's eyes widened. "Did you call the police?" "What? My important things were destroyed. Shouldn't I call the police?" I looked at my roommate with amusement. Her eyes were evasive, and her voice began to stammer. "And no, you should. The roommate returned to their own bed and pulled the bed curtain shut. The WeChat notification sound kept chiming incessantly, and it was unclear who they were chatting with so fervently. Finally, I heard the sound of a transfer notification. The roommate sighed, put down their phone, and got out of bed. The police arrived very quickly. The dorm supervisor and the counselor also came together, in front of everyone. I took a hidden camera out from inside the doll on the side of my desk. The camera's surveillance range was exactly my desk area. "Isn't this the doll ornament you just took out this morning? Songyu, are you deliberately trying to harm me?" My roommate's face flushed red as she struggled to lunge forward and strangle me, but the police officer swiftly restrained her. I seized the moment to add fuel to the fire. "Officer, my roommate has been receiving a lot of extra income lately. Now that she's suddenly targeting me, I suspect someone is behind this. You might want to check her recent transaction records." "Don't worry, Ms. Song, we will get to the bottom of this," the police officer assured me. I nodded. Since I had other matters to attend to in the afternoon, and considering I was the victim, the police simply took my statement on the spot before escorting my roommate away. The crowd dispersed, leaving only Song Xian standing at the door. She glared at me fiercely. "Songyu, I never expected you to be so ruthless, to call the police on a friend you've lived with for a year. Just like that, those who do bad things must face punishment, don't they?" I smiled faintly, pulling out the necklace from around my neck, at the end of which was a USB drive. Song Xin, look, good people still get their rewards. I happen to have a backup of my data, and those who tried to harm me have received the punishment they deserve. Oh, right. I pretended to have a sudden realization and slapped my forehead. I won't sign a criminal-style letter of understanding. She'll have to spend at least 3 years in prison. Do you think she'll spend the rest of her life relying on you after she gets out? Song Xion's expression visibly changed. I couldn't help but sneer. Perhaps I had always kept my fangs hidden in front of her, making her mistake a wolf for a dog. Song Xion, don't provoke me, you'll regret it. This is the last time I'll let you off. Out of respect for Grandma, the dormitory doors slowly closed, and Song Xion's legs gave way, collapsing to the ground. The aftermath of this incident. My roommate was sentenced to 3 years in prison, expelled from school, and had to compensate me. She did not implicate Song Xion, taking all the blame upon herself. As for the transfers Song Xion made to her, they were explained as financial aid for a needy student. However, the truth was that her roommate came from a well-off family and was not a needy student at all. But who says that someone from a well-off family cannot receive financial aid? In the end, the matter was left unresolved. After that, Song Xion did behave more discreetly. She still followed the path of her previous life and entered the entertainment industry. However, she had a poor reputation among the general public and was often criticized by anti-fans for having a plastic surgery face. Compared to the circumstances of her previous life, it was like night and day. At the end of my sophomore year, Professor Zhuang approached me. He had a national-level secret project in hand and asked if I was interested in joining. Those were Professor Zhuang's exact words. The codename for this project is Spark. It requires signing a confidentiality agreement, lasts for 8 years, and involves complete isolation from the outside world during that period. A young girl like you shouldn't normally be involved in the Spark project. The preference is for comrades who are already married and have children. But there are few people in our field, and you're a promising talent. I thought, at the very least, I should ask if you're willing. No need to answer me right away. Take a month to think it over, consider it carefully, and let me know once you've made up your mind. After Professor Zhuang finished speaking, he turned to leave, and I immediately called out to him, Professor, I'm willing to participate. I'm an orphan, and since I was young, I've always received help from all walks of life. Like from my grandmother, my homeroom teacher. Having the chance to give back to society is an honor for me, but you're still so young, in the prime of your life. Professor Zhuang couldn't help but feel a bit reluctant. Precisely because I am young and have more abundant energy, I should do something meaningful. I looked sincerely at Professor Zhuang. Professor, I have no family left in this world. My situation is the most suitable for research. Professor Zhuang sighed and agreed. Unsure in his heart whether he felt regret or relief, there was 1 month left before the departure date, and the professor gave me a break to relax. Suddenly, I realized I had nowhere to go. After thinking for a while, I bought a plane ticket and flew directly to Linhui City. Following my memory, I knocked on my homeroom teacher's door. My homeroom teacher still remembered me. She personally cooked a table full of delicious dishes. I accidentally ate too much. The homeroom teacher's cooking was delicious, just like Grandma's, with a taste of home. Leaving Linhui City, I wandered aimlessly, occasionally spotting Song Xion's billboards on the streets. It wasn't until the agreed-upon date was approaching that I finally headed back to Q University. The effect of walking around was very obvious. My soul felt purified. If I didn't have other things to do, I might have become a monk on the spot. The night before departure, I received a call from Song Xion. On the phone, she asked me through tears, Sister, did I really do something wrong? I remained silent for a long while, offering no response, and chose to hang up the phone. No matter what dirty business she encountered or what truth she uncovered, from the moment she killed me with her own hands, it had nothing to do with me anymore. Our familial bond was severed by her own hands the moment she pushed me down the stairs. The next day, I set off as usual. The days of research were busy yet fulfilling, as we cut off all contact with the outside world. While other researchers gazed at photos, missing their families, I would run to the sand dunes of the base to look at the moon. 8 years passed in the blink of an eye, and the Spark project achieved a breakthrough. When we returned from the base to the steel forests and architectural torrents, many of us showed symptoms of struggling to readjust to society. We were accompanied by guards responsible for ensuring our safety and helping us reintegrate into society. The person above asked me, MS, Song, is there anything you'd like to do? I want to become a nun. The person sent by the higher-ups to communicate was taken aback. I quickly shrugged my shoulders. Don't mind me. I was just joking. I say it out of habit. Nothing's wrong. The other person wiped the cold sweat from their forehead and then spoke. Miss Song, we found out you have a younger sister, however. She has been sentenced to 20 years for drug use, group promiscuity, bribery, and other crimes. Would you like to see her? No need. Help me prepare a new identity. I smiled slightly and winked slyly at the communicator. The original Sonyu is already dead. Walking out of the building, I closed my eyes. Nervously, I spread my arms as if embracing something. Under the sunlight, a faint, fine line appears at the corner of my eye. It's almost invisible unless you look closely. 10 years have passed. Grandma, are you satisfied with the answer I've given? After hearing the 2 stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments